Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're putting on our crypto strategist hats, really digging into a story that's been buzzing the vision and, well, the strategic moves of AIFEX or AFX. Specifically, we're looking at their recent, very successful engagement with the All InX platform. And this isn't just about, cheering a win. It's about understanding the signals AFX is sending, what this reveals about where they might be headed. We want the why.
Exactly, because when a project pulls off something visible like this, a smart investor looks past the headline. They want to see the mechanics, the strategy behind it. And AFX, well, they seem to be running a clear playbook here. They're using their community's power, which is undeniable, to create real, measurable market visibility. That win on All InX, it's a perfect example of generating proof of demand.
Okay, proof of demand. Let's hold that thought.
But first, we need to understand the stage. All InX's tokens are AIX or ANT. It's not just another exchange platform. It bills itself as an all-in-one on-chain wealth platform.
Oh.
What's really interesting is how it merges DeFi, decentralized finance, with RWA.
RWA, real-world assets.
Right. So think stocks, funds, bonds, assets. Normally stuck in traditional finance, but now operating on the blockchain. That's their core idea.
Okay, let's really unpack that foundation then. All InX, the platform AFX chose to engage with, what's its current standing in the market, and why is this RWA angle so strategically important?
Well, All InX is pretty new, relatively speaking, launched in 2025. And importantly, it's not on the huge tier 1 exchanges yet. Your Binances, your OKXs, the ones with the massive liquidity pools. But it's definitely making waves, a rising star, you could say. They're already doing millions in daily volume, apparently.
Yeah.
And they are listed on WeEX exchange.
WeAX, that's a mid-size Asian CAX, right? Centralized exchange.
That's right. Reputable, decent volume. So not a beginner platform, but not top tier yet either.
So it occupies that interesting middle ground, building momentum.
Precisely. And the thing that gives it strategic weight, the thing investors are watching, is that RWA focus. Our sources keep highlighting RWAs as a mega trend.
Makes sense. Everyone's talking about tokenizing real-world stuff.
Absolutely, because the big players, banks, asset managers, the global institutions, they're all trying to figure out how to bring real assets onto the blockchain safely, compliantly.
So All InX is positioning itself right where that future institutional money might flow. That gives it a certain gravity, even if it's young.
It does. It carves out a really relevant niche for itself. It's not just about trading volume. It's about being relevant to where finance is heading. And that leads us to the mechanism AFX uses so effectively. All InX isn't just an exchange. It also acts as a kind of community voting gateway.
Okay, a gateway. Tell me more about that. How does that work, and why would a project like AFX use it?
Well, normally getting listed involves, backroom deals between dev teams and exchanges. It often favors projects with big budgets or connections. All InX changes that up. They use community voting before lifting to see if there's genuine demand. To win, a project's community has to really step up. Maybe lock tokens, hold tokens, cast votes on-chain, verifiable action.
So it filters for projects with genuinely active, loyal communities.
Yeah, exactly. It ensures that only projects with real, demonstrable backing get through.
That's actually quite clever. All InX is essentially letting the community do some of the vetting for them. They're setting up a stage where projects that might not have Tier 1 CEX funding yet can prove their community strength with hard data.
Turns passion into a number, you could say.
It's a strategic bridge, then. A way for projects to say, look, we might not have $1 billion marketing fund, but our users will show up and prove the demand.
Precisely. It validates the community element.
Okay, let's pivot to AFX itself now. The sources keep mentioning this community-first strategy. How did that play out in the All InX vote? What's the evidence?
The evidence is pretty stark. AFX managed to get over 10,000 votes in that All InX listing campaign. And strategically, the sources don't just frame that as a number. They call it a moment of glory for the community, a real proof of power. That level of engagement, that 10,000 plus figure, that's the data point a cool-headed strategist zeroes in on.
Okay, but let me push back a bit here. In crypto, sometimes big numbers like vote counts can be dismissed. Vanity metrics, right? Just noise, maybe driven by temporary incentives. How do we know these 10,000 votes represent real, lasting demand for AFX?
That's a fair question, and it's the crucial difference here. Because these votes happen on-chain, requiring actual participation, like holding tokens or interacting in some way, it's not just noise, it's measurable data. So this achievement does two really critical things, beyond just looking good. First, it provides that proof of demand we talked about. 10,000 active votes. That's solid on-chain proof. The community isn't just sitting there. They're engaged. It kills the Is this a dead project question?
Okay, so it proves activity. What's the second thing?
The second, and maybe even more important long term, is it builds huge community unity and loyalty. Think about the story, the narrative. We, the holders, help make this happen. That's powerful.
Right, it gives people a sense of ownership.
Exactly. When people feel like they're actually building something, their loyalty deepens. They shift from just holding to actively promoting, even defending the project. That means less churn, more resilience.
And that's where the strategic layer really clicks into place, isn't it? This high level of proven community mobilization becomes a key differentiator. It sends a signal to other exchanges, the bigger ones, the KuCoins, the Gate.ios, that AFX doesn't just bring promises from a dev team, it brings actual verified users who take action.
Yes, they've effectively weaponized their community engagement, turned it into a quantifiable asset they can leverage in future talks.
Okay, so connecting this back to the strategic investor's viewpoint, they're looking for validated potential, right? Credibility, demand.
Correct. And while All InX itself might be mid-tier for now, winning there, especially with such strong numbers, sends a really positive short-term signal. It starts building momentum.
Let's break down the specific strategic benefits AFX gets from this. The sources seem to highlight 4 key ones. Let's start with credibility. How does this win boost their brand?
Okay, first benefit, increased brand credibility. Simply winning this kind of visible contest, particularly if there were competitors, gives AFX the perception of having a real, global, and importantly, motivated user base. That's huge. It lifts them above the noise of countless tokens built purely on hype. It signals they have organizational strength, user commitment, tangible proof they can mobilize people.
Got it. Perception matters. Okay, benefit 2, liquidity. The sources say listing on All InX provides a liquidity gateway. Now, for someone listening, why is getting listed on a CEX like All InX strategically better than just being on a DAX, a decentralized exchange?
That's a really key point. Generally, CX liquidity is deeper, yes, but it's also much easier for the average person, someone maybe less familiar with crypto's tech side, to access. So it potentially widens your user pool dramatically.
Opens the door to more people.
Right. And maybe more importantly, it diversifies where the token trades. If you're only on DXs, you can sometimes be more vulnerable to, say, big sell-offs or manipulation concentrated in one place. Adding a CEX like All InX adds resilience, reduces that vulnerability, helps stabilize price discovery. It's a sign of the project maturing.
That makes total sense. Stability, wider reach. Okay, third point, and this feels like the big strategic leap. Can winning on a mid-tier platform truly act as a bridge to Tier 1 CEXs? Don't the Binances of the world have their own super strict requirements, massive volume hurdles?
Oh, they absolutely do. Tier 1 is a different league.
Yeah.
Huge volume needed, strict legal checks, proven user base, the works. But here's a strategic play. The All InX victory isn't just a claim anymore. It's a documented case study. It's verified, on-chain proof that AFX can, on demand, mobilize over 10,000 users. Yeah. So when AFX goes to talk to, say, KuCoin or even Binance down the line, they're not just showing a roadmap and making promises. They're showing hard data of grassroots support.
Yeah.
That fundamentally de-risks the listing for the bigger exchange. It tells them, with evidence, that listing AFX is likely to bring genuine active traders to their platform, which is what every exchange wants most.
Oh, okay. It's providing data that answers a key question for the big exchanges. It shortens the path, potentially.
Exactly. Makes that jump from rising star to major listing candidate much more credible, much more likely.
Right. And the fourth benefit, momentum builder. This big vote count creates buzz, yeah.
Huge buzz potential. The sources call it a potential game changer moment. Success like this gets attention. Analysts, investors who maybe weren't looking before, they start paying attention now. That attention, that confidence, it builds momentum. And if AFX plays it right, good PR, keeping the community engaged, it helps shift the project from just being promising to being actively tracked, maybe even by more traditional finance watchers. It validates that whole community-first approach paid off.
Okay. So, pulling this all together, what's the takeaway for an investor watching AFX right now? The strategist sees the strong community foundation, that's clear. But the market's waiting for the next step, isn't it?
That's the crucial insight, yes.
Yeah.
The vote was the proof of concept, you could say. Getting listed is the execution of that potential. So the next critical proof points aren't the votes themselves anymore. It's the actual listing, plus the real sustained trading volume that follows. on All InX over the next weeks and months.
Volume. That's the ultimate test.
Volume is the ultimate measure of real ongoing demand, not just temporary excitement.
Right.
So in synthesis, we see All InX as this really well-chosen strategic bridge. It connects AFX's proven community power directly to an exchange platform. The vote proved the community is alive, active, unified. The strategic lesson here for you listening is pretty profound, I think. Strong community isn't just, good vibes. It can be actively, strategically deployed as hard verifiable data to unlock doors to better liquidity, higher credibility.
Absolutely. AFX seems to have turned that loyalty into a real asset for negotiation, for visibility. That shows a strategic maturity you don't always see. It's more than just hitting development targets.
Which leaves us with the big forward-looking question, doesn't it? If AFX manages this momentum correctly, leverages this on-chain proof, how quickly can they actually convert that community success into sustained, maybe even institutional-grade volume, and then make that leap to the Tier 1 exchanges, that transition from proving the potential to demonstrating consistent global performance? That's the real test of this whole community-first strategy they've built. Will it make the final jump?
A really fantastic point to end on. So for anyone tracking this, keep a sharp eye on that all-in-X trading volume for AFX and watch for news of any talks with bigger exchanges. That will tell you if this strategic vision is truly becoming reality. That's all for this deep dive.